Hey there, welcome back to Keep Calm and Craft On with IOIB Designs. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make some beautiful wood signs, and you're not going to believe what we're going to use. Wrapping paper. Yep, that's right, we can make some gorgeous wood signs using your favorite wrapping paper. These signs turn out so gorgeous, and when I tell people that I use wrapping paper to make them, they can't believe it. This technique is so easy, anyone can do it. You don't need any special equipment. I am going to be sharing with you how I use my Glowforge to create this sign, but I will also give you other options. You don't need a Glowforge to create this sign. There are many other ways that you can do it. But the one thing you will need to make this sign is your favorite wrapping paper. So grab your favorite design and let's get started. I'm Stephanie and I've been running an online handmade business, ILYB Designs, since 2014. Now, I don't know about you, but I have a little bit of crafter's ADD. So if you take a look at my website, you'll see I make a variety of different types of custom items. So I created this channel so I can share with you my crafty tips and tricks and provide you with inspiration for projects you can complete at home. So come craft with me. And as always, consider subscribing to my channel and like and comment on a video when you see something you like. Now, let's get on with today's video. I recently discovered a great wood supplier for my Glowforge projects. I'll link them in the description box below in case you're interested in checking them out. They're H&H Creations TAMPA, and they have a variety of wood cut to fit specific lasers such as Glowforge. They have these 18-inch Baltic birch wood rounds that are 1/4 inch thick that I love for sign making because they come already sanded and ready to go. All I have to do is stain or paint them, which saves me so much time. They're really great quality. So for this sign, I'm painting it black with Waverly Ink chalk paint. I paint both sides to give my signs a complete, polished, and professional look. Once both sides of the wood round have dried, which is relatively quick with chalk paint, which is one of the reasons I really prefer it over acrylic paint, it's also thicker, so one coat is usually all you need. So just a few extra tips there. Now you're going to take your wrapping paper. I'm using this buffalo plaid that I got at Christmas time, but of course anything will do. You want to cut a square a little larger than the wood round. It doesn't have to be perfect here, so just cut a little bit larger than your wood round. After the square is cut, that's when I do even it out, and I cut carefully along the plaid since this design has an obvious straight line to it. This is where you'd want to make sure your design would be straight for your sign. So depending on what design is on your wrapping paper, just now straighten it out after you have the basic square cut. Now here you'll see I'm using a cardboard template I cut out for another round sign that has a similar blocking design like this one does. So I'm sticking it in place with painter's tape, and this is going to be a guide for where the wrapping paper is going to go on the sign, and it's going to help me align it straight onto the wood round. If you purchase any of my sign SVG files that have this blocking design to it, you receive the template that you can create to do this. It's so handy and you can use it for multiple signs. So now I'm just cutting apart the bigger square of wrapping paper with a nice straight line and using the template to align it where it's going to go on the sign. At this point, you still do not need to worry about cutting it to fit the rounded part of the sign. There's a really cool trick I'm going to show you to get a perfect edge on your sign coming up in a minute. So now you're going to Mod Podge the pieces of wrapping paper. I know they don't fit yet, don't worry about it. So see how I'm using the template to get the Mod Podge exactly where I need the paper to go. I'd never get it straight if I didn't do this. Carefully put the paper down and smooth from the straight edge toward the outer part of the sign to get it to lay as flat as possible. It won't lay completely flat at first, but just get as many bubbles out as you can. Remove the template, and I just want to show you, you will have some bubbles while the Mod Podge is still wet, but trust me, these magically flatten out when it dries. I don't know how, it seriously is like magic. Now for my favorite trick for perfect edges. Let the Mod Podge dry for a little bit, maybe 15 minutes, and now you're going to sand the edges over a garbage can, is highly recommended because it is a little messy. And take the sandpaper and gently sand in a downward motion, and it cuts away the wrapping paper, leaving you with a perfect edge for your sign. It is so much easier doing it this way than trying to cut the perfect size and shape to fit your round sign. I did that the first time I made this and then realized this was so much easier. I like to take a dry paintbrush and brush away any dust before putting a top layer of Mod Podge on to seal it. I seal the edges first and then do the top. Again, you'll have some bubbles while it's wet, but don't worry, leave them. When it dries, look how they magically flatten down. When that top side is all dry, completely dry, give the back side a layer of Mod Podge too to seal the back side. Now here's where you'll need to modify the technique a little bit if you don't have a Glowforge. But I'm going to use my Glowforge, but you can either use a stencil and paint, or put a vinyl decal on if you have a Silhouette or Cricut, or you can even buy wood letters that are already cut out at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, or maybe a word that is a wood word that is already cut out. You can find those at your local craft stores. But I use my Glowforge because I love giving my signs extra dimension by laser cutting the lettering. And if you have been considering purchasing a Glowforge, I have a referral link in the description box below if you're interested in purchasing, and you can save up to $500 on a new Glowforge. So check that out if you may be interested in getting one. I love mine, totally addicted to it, so I highly suggest it. Another product from H&H Creations Tampa is this white MDF. I love it. It is probably my favorite material to work with. It's got a nice texture and a slight sheen. It's just so pretty, and you don't have to paint it. It's an extra step that's eliminated to save time, and I'm all about time saving. I'm using a scrap here, so it's already prepped, but I put a masking tape on the white side so I don't have to clean the burn marks from the laser. And then on the back side, I put this 3M double-sided adhesive so I can simply peel and stick the letters once they're cut, and then just put them directly on my sign. So here's Glowforge at work, laser cutting the name that's going on this sign. I never tire of watching this machine work. It's just awesome how it gets everything so precision cut and perfect. Now I just peel and stick the letters to the sign and then remove the masking tape that's on the top, and I don't have to clean away any burn marks. If you choose not to use the masking tape on the top, you will probably have scorch marks that you can take a cloth and a little bit of alcohol and just wipe those away. When I'm making a lot of signs, I just don't like to have to take the time to clean each one, so the masking tape is such a big help for me. So now I'm adding holes for the hanger for this sign. You can use a drill here, but my drill tends to split the wood and it just annoys me. So I've been sticking it back in Glowforge and just getting some perfect laser cut holes. I use these digital calipers to help me figure out what size hole I needed, or what size circle I needed Glowforge to cut. Then I marked on the sign just by eyeballing where I wanted the holes to go, and put it in Glowforge and got my holes cut. Then I'm using twine and just sticking the twine through the holes and then knotting it to hold it in place. You won't really see this because the bow and the greenery is going to cover up. This is just simply for hanging purposes. All right, now on to the bow. And I really hope I can explain this. For some reason, finding the words to explain how to make this bow has been such a challenge for me to even think about. So I'm going to give it my best shot, and all I can say is keep rewinding and just watch what I do if I'm not able to get the words out correctly. But here's what it's going to look like. This is a previous sign that I made for my front door. So I'm using this roll of burlap and greenery. Both of them are from Walmart. So you're going to want to roll out the burlap and fold it over to make the loops of your bow. Now you're going to have like 2 layers of loops, the bottom layer being the longer one. So that is basically the length of what your final bow is going to be. So size that to your sign and fold your burlap over to make the bottom loops. Now you want the end of your piece of burlap, you want that to be a little off center. So have a little bit of overlap over the center, because essentially you're going to be scrunching the bow together in the center, and that's how it's going to all be held together. So you need to have a little bit of overlap over the center section of your bow. Then you're just going to fold the burlap backwards again to make the second layer of loops. And you want the second layer of loops to be just a little bit shorter than your bottom layer. And once you have those loops made, then you're going to cut your burlap. And again, make sure that you cut it so it's a little bit over the center section because you're going to scrunch it together and hold the bow together. So you want to be able to have that top loop be held in the center of the bow. I told you, I knew I was going to have so much trouble explaining this because finding the right words to describe this is just, I don't know, my brain can't handle it. Now, because burlap frays very easily, I folded the end of my burlap under to give it a clean edge there, and that way it'll prevent it from fraying anymore. Now take your burlap and you're going to fold it all in towards the center and then fold it back out, and that's going to give you the little creases of your bow. Now you're going to take a zip tie and you're going to use that to hold that scrunched part of the bow all together, but do not tighten your zip tie all the way yet. You're going to tighten it so that it holds the bow together, but don't tighten it all the way because we still need to get the greenery inside the zip tie before we tighten it all the way. And you know, once you tighten a zip tie, there's no undoing it. So leave a little bit of slack so that you can get the greenery stems in there too. Now you're going to take your greenery stems, and this is just where you're going to play around with the look that you were going for. I ended up taking 2 little stems off of a big bunch that I had gotten at Walmart. I think this is called boxwood. And I used 2 stems for each side of my bow. Now they weren't as long as I needed them, so I took electrical tape and I taped a section of the stems together to make them a little bit longer. Now ideally I would have used green floral tape, but I didn't have any of that. So this works fine because you're not able to see it. It's hidden with the leaves and the bow. So the electrical tape worked fine for me. So when you have your greenery how you want it, then you want to attach it to the bow. And so I flipped the bow over and put the greenery. I actually kind of weaved it in the little holes of the burlap to make it extra secure. And I kept flipping my bow back and forth just so I could see that I was getting the look I wanted and that the greenery was coming out of the bow enough just to make sure I was getting the look I was going for. So when you have it how you like it, then that's when you're going to make sure the stems are stuck in so that they will get tightened by the zip tie. And when you have it all in there secure, go ahead and tighten your zip tie as tight as you can get it so that everything is secured together. And then cut off the excess part of the zip tie. And now we're going to cover up the zip tie by taking another piece of burlap about 3 to 4 inches long, and you're just going to make like a seam out of hot glue, because if you've watched my channel, you know I'm allergic to sewing, so there's no way I'm going to sew this little thing together. So just hot glue, and you're basically making kind of like a loop of the burlap. And I highly recommend that for this part that you use these finger savers. They're silicone finger savers that you can get at Dollar Tree. And that way you can actually push down on the hot glue that is going to seep through the burlap. And without these on your fingers, you will burn your fingers. So highly suggest these anytime you're using your glue gun. So once you have that glued seam together, you're going to flatten that down so that the seam is in the back and you don't see it. And then you're going to wrap that around the center of your bow to cover up the zip tie, and you're just going to hot glue that in place. And then your bow and greenery is ready to attach to your sign. So I usually just hot glue it directly to the sign. This time I decided I was going to try and add just a little more security by using some E6000 along with hot glue. My E6000 turned out to be really gooey and I think just old, so I went ahead and stuck it on there, but I'm not sure how much of an extra hold that's going to give it. And then I put hot glue and glued it to the sign. I also added an extra little dab of hot glue to try and get so that the greenery wouldn't flop down lower than I wanted it, I just kind of tacked down the bottom loop of the bow on the bottom there so that it just helps secure the greenery in place. And that is it. Your sign is done, and now it's ready to hang on the front door. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think you would have known this was wrapping paper had I not shared this technique with you? And do you think you're gonna give this technique a try? I absolutely love this sign. I say this every time I make a new design that this is my favorite sign, but I really love this one, and I actually did hang the hello sign on my front door. I'll put links in the description box below for the products that I'm able to link to that I used for this sign. And remember, if you're considering purchasing a Glowforge, I have my referral link in the description box below, so you can save up to $500 on a new Glowforge. And if you stick around just a little bit longer, I'm including some bloopers at the end of this video. This was a suggestion from my son, who was watching some raw video footage with me and cracking up hysterically, and he told me I should include some bloopers at the ends of my videos. So I'm giving that a try. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, as always, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this one, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Today I'm going to be sharing blah, blah, blah. You're not going to believe the main ingredient, you should say, that's stupid.